Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. It's another week. People don't know because we record every other week, but we release the episodes every week, and we actually were supposed to record last week, but we skipped the recording because we have a lot to tell.
Yes, we skipped the recording because apparently for us to skip the recording,
issues.
Yes, I need to be hospitalized for me to not record, and to basically and by the way,
Start with the saying for everybody that is worried, you're fine. I mean, they can
I'm not
see
fine.
You're fine.
I'm fucking crippled. Look, this is when I complain about old age, and I'll complain about old age all the time. I wake up one fucking morning on a random fucking Monday.
It was a Wednesday.
No, the whole story.
The whole story.
The whole story.
I think. Okay.
It's my complaining.
You go.
Let me complain in peace.
Of course.
It is my right as a Jew. I think.
Rest in peace.
Exactly. I think kvetching is like a Jewish. It's in the fucking Torah. I promise you. So.
10 Commandments.
It's exactly.
You have.
It's part of my 10 Commandments. Exactly. Kvetching. So I wake up on a fucking random Monday on a February, and as you know, I am in serious pain, and my leg is not functioning, which I immediately knew was herniated discs. And like every other good Jew, the Nile is not just a river in Egypt. So I was denying the situation. We were hoping that it will go away. You said, it's retinopathy, blah, 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 which I knew it wasn't. And you sent me to the whatever shock treatment, which didn't work. And then at some point we got the MRI during the Super Bowl, which was very good. Because as I mentioned, there was nothing like watching the Super Bowl on Ativan, because otherwise I would have probably got a stroke watching that shit show of the Super Bowl. And then I was recovering. When we came back from the skiing, I felt awesome. My leg was not functioning. I was free of pain. And then on that Wednesday, I wake up in serious pain that accumulated and got worse and worse and worse and worse until basically we had to go to the hospital. And producer Dave, you know what happens when you go to the hospital in Massachusetts and say that you have back pain?
They send you home with some Advil?
They assume that you're there to try to get opioids.
Especially
that makes sense.
That age, white, that's the assumption.
So it took me 5 hours.
So they were like, whatever. I think they really wanted us to go home. So they wanted to see if we're really there to be hospitalized. So they're like, okay, you go wait. And they put him at the end of the queue. And there was a very long queue.
It was a very long queue. And it took me 5 hours to see a doctor in the emergency room.
The emergency room, I have to say, one of the reasons we moved here was education and healthcare.
And both of them suck.
And wow, that's shocking. What we experienced that day in Newton Wellesley Hospital was nothing less than a third world country ER in a war zone. Like, seriously, I have not seen.
What hospital were you at?
Newton Wellesley Hospital.
Yeah. Okay.
People, there were hundreds of people in the ER, hundreds of beds. They have maybe a few tens of rooms. People were lying in every hallway. Like, Didi's bed was at the entrance to the ER. The nurse could not even stand and talk to him or put the IV in because she had, everybody bump her back when they're coming in with other beds. It was something I have not seen here ever. Like, a kid breaks a limb, or, they get injured. We've been to Newton Wellesley multiple times. Always like super efficient. You come in, it's like few minutes. A doctor sees you. You go after, 2 hours. You get an X-ray, and so it takes time. But
yes, if we go through
never like that.
If we go through Omri's medical record, so age 5, we let one of our friends take a look at him for like 3 seconds. 3 seconds. And he gets a gash in the eyebrow. Remember that one? And we needed to get stitches. Omri gets stitches like that. That was about 11 years ago. Then there was the first concussion when he got kicked in the head as a goalie.
In soccer, yeah.
In soccer.
Yeah.
He got in almost right away, which was a big difference between...
You know what's interesting?
What?
I just realized you typically don't get to go with the kids to, doctors. But for some reason, every time that Omri was injured, it was you taking him.
Yeah.
I was with with the 2 other kids and stuff, but now I realize, I don't know, it's luck. I'm always away when those things happen. Like
Right.
that thing, I was in Israel, and the other thing, I wasn't away. And this time that he got the concussion, and first time you went now to the ER, so it's interesting.
Yes.
I didn't realize it.
Yes.
There is a pattern here.
Yeah, but I have to say
Luck.
that
Yeah.
post-COVID...
Do you realize we skipped sports? That's
yes.
fine. We'll put it at the end.
We'll put it at the end.
Yeah, you're so passionate about telling your story.
Yes.
It's
And it's also...
everybody wants to know everything about your health experiences.
I don't care if they want.
You're just going to go with it.
I'm paid for this time, so I am going to kvetch. So I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want.
And you're in pain.
And I'm in pain. I'm seriously in pain, by the way.
Okay, let's get back to
The pain.
So multiple times you've been to Newton Wellesley Hospital. It was like straightforward.
Yes, yes. And
How was the experience of, 2 months ago when you were
even
there?
look, it was the night before the Super Bowl and in the middle of a snowstorm, and still and he got concussed, which means that he was...
They take him immediately in.
He was relatively high on the priority list because it was a head injury from hockey,
Sports, yeah.
from sports. And still it took almost an hour for us to get seen.
Was it as bad, as full as when we were at this week?
No. But when I came in during the Super Bowl, it was that bad.
Which is shocking. Like, why would people come on Super Bowl nights if...
Because it was the same old age people.
Okay.
But because of that at that point in time, my complaint was not pain. My complaint back then was at that point in time when I came in, I was almost pain-free, but it was the neurological deficiency.
Feeling like you're losing sense.
That I'm losing control of the leg and losing control of the groin. That made it a lot more of an emergency than...
So there you go. Here is something for you to learn. Second time you came and just complained about pain and not talking about neurodeficiency. So you got stuck.
It is possible, but I wasn't thinking because I was dying of pain. I think you and I have been married for how long? 30 years? 40? It seems longer.
Yeah, I married you at the age of 8.
Yes, exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. So we've been married for 40 years. You've never seen me cry in pain.
Yeah, 20, but yes.
So, look, I usually suck it up. So I'm a classic jock for everybody to know, which means that if I get the sniffles, I'm basically dead.
Yeah.
If I get a cold, I'm dead. I have 2 modes when I'm sick. I'm healthy and on the verge of dying. There's like no in between.
True.
I will not deny, as my mom will call it, the show, even if she doesn't know the phone number, to say that I'm a raving hypochondriac. And there is a grain of truth. But this one, look, I skied down mountains with broken ribs, broken shoulders, dislocated stuff. This was probably the worst pain I've ever had, with the exception of root canal. There's nothing more painful than root canal.
Is it an old injury? Was there a moment where you injured it?
No. So this is the thing. I have...
It is an old injury.
It is an old injury. But so
you have 3 herniated discs from the
5.
past.
5.
I don't know. Specifically, they talk in the MRI about 3.
No, now they have the...
L3, 4, 5.
There's also the L1 degeneration and the sacral degeneration.
Yeah,
So
the degeneration is basically the name of the game.
It's basically all my lower spine is degenerating. I've been having back pain since I was 17. It's not new that I have back pain. It's just, I even had some cases where it radiated on the leg and had some neural deficiency at some point. Remember when I used to play in the soccer league. So, and I had an incident also that I needed acupuncture before one of my friend's weddings. So I've been having back pain since the dawn of time.
Okay.
But this was who?
Back pain is a problem.
Back pain is a problem.
By the way, herniated disc is like one of the most common
Yes.
pains of mankind.
Now here's where I want to take a quick pause and do thank every single nurse in that hospital, because they're overworked to levels that I can't believe.
They're so helpful and nice, and
they are
full of empathy.
Extremely nice, so full of empathy. Every single
and very helpful.
Yes, every single one of them should be nominated for sainthood. By the way, I'm wearing green for St. Patty's Day, which is also
Which was earlier in the week. We are late.
We're late, but I still came green for St. Patty's. But the nurses, saints. But the system is built in a way that right now all the old age homes in Massachusetts basically have Leah as their attendant. And therefore what they do is if an old person has the sniffles, they will dump them into the ER system.
Basically, there are a lot of new elderly homes around here, which were recently built, even after the pandemic. There is a big one near the JCC.
Yep.
And what we heard in the ER is that there is huge shortage of healthcare staffing that don't want to work in nursing homes, so they basically cannot have in-house healthcare professionals. So they just send people for everything they would have to the ER, which makes the whole congestion that we've seen.
Yes.
So
and
that's reality. We talked about healthcare, we talked about PE before and what's happening. I guess that's part of the problem.
It is. This is where the problem, this is what I'm seeing. I'm talking to friends in red states. So because of the situation, and a lot of my friends were calling me, the situation in North Carolina and in Texas is a lot less bad because they understand that the system needs to have vents to make money. So there is an accelerated queue that you can pay into. Here,
I would have paid to get accelerated in the ER. You would have paid that moment.
Yes. So this is where I think the system is deficient because, look, I am rich. I have the ability.
You're going to get so much hate online on this.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you're working for that, right?
Yes.
You're working and saving for that rainy day. That's exactly the definition of a rainy day, when you have a healthcare issue and you want to solve it.
Yes. And if I could have paid, I think, let's be honest with each other.
Yeah.
At that level of pain, producer Dave, if you basically were writhing on the floor in pain,
right,
were you not willing to pay? I don't know.
Yeah, take my money.
Well, that's why people get medicated, right? And then they pay for medication. Then they end up, getting street stuff instead.
Well, that's true. But
that is the story. When you're in pain, you'll do anything.
Right. It's just one of the moments where you don't think about what it costs because you don't care.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So somebody could have taken $10,000 out of my bank account, and I would have basically tipped him another $5.
Yeah, but the system thinks that you're there for the opioids.
It doesn't matter.
You showed up saying you have a pain. So the whomever is in the triage room have seen hundreds of white middle-aged men your age that are now, maybe it started with a pain, but now because of the opioid and fentanyl epidemic, they're now coming probably every other day pretending to have a pain, or maybe they do have a pain, but all they want is the morphine shot or whatever.
Yeah, but
Putting them on oxy.
But think of the following thing. I didn't ask to get the opioids. I didn't ask to get anything. All I asked was to see a doctor that can evaluate the situation. Think of the following case. If I was willing to pay 10 more K, cut those 5 hours, get a doctor to actually look at me, maybe it would solve MGH's big margin problem, because these things...
So they would have concierge ER for
Yes.
those that are willing to pay out of pocket.
Yes.
And get faster triage and see. But
Yeah.
then you're still going to be stuck in the line because what? You're going to pay for your spine surgery out of pocket?
So here's the thing. If they had a concierge service, maybe what they would do is also navigate through the insurance system. Because what happens is, right now they're not willing to budge a millimeter outside the guidelines.
So what's the kind of story of
So what
the process you're going through?
So right now, they want to do a procedure that goes like, first step is...
First up, you didn't get anything other than pain medication when you were hospitalized for 2
Yes.
days.
And then...
So you didn't get any real treatment for
No.
the cause of the problem.
No.
You did manage to get an MRI, which was also not something they really wanted to do, as you got an MRI 3 weeks before.
Yeah, the only reason that they gave me this was because I was not able to pee, which is neural block, which was an indication, and that's why I also got all that massive dose of steroids in hope to reduce the inflammation, because they were afraid of basically neural degeneration. So that was...
So they gave you some painkillers, IV, and then they released you home with additional oral painkillers. You
Yes.
basically got the whole enchilada. Of,
Which, by the way,
you know.
is the way to actually cause addiction, because I was sent home with opiates rather than be served the nerve block, which is an opioid-free solution. If somebody would have administered that in the hospital...
But they don't do that service. You
And,
need to go and schedule it somewhere else.
privately. And then when the insurance A needs to talk to insurance B, when you're in... and this is another gem for you, producer Dave. If the most courteous service that you had to deal with is from a company whose CEO got shot because they're so bad at treating patients,
Boy, yeah.
you ask, like, WTF, right?
Right.
Because UnitedHealthcare actually took care of the fact that between the hospital and the outpatient clinic and the doctor, they couldn't synchronize with each other because none of them have working systems that can talk to each other. So the doctor fed it as a non-emergency, and the hospital fed it as an order. And the system that administers this, by the way, which belongs to the same network of healthcare, they cannot coordinate these things. They needed somebody from UnitedHealthcare to get all three of them on the line to actually put the order in place in a way that I can get...
And put the right code. Like at the end of the day is all about putting the right code to make it urgent, other than we'll see you 6 weeks from now. So that's
There's nothing more frustrating than when I was in the ER for a weird blurred vision thing last year. I swear I had to tell the whole story about 24 times.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because it's like I already told
Each
you.
one-
Didn't anybody write it down? At any point?
This is
Can
where
this become
AI
part-
would have been so much better. Like,
Oh, yeah.
seriously, I was about to say, just replace all those things with AI, because, yes, AI should read it.
Yo,
You don't have the time.
ChatGPT.
Exactly.
I asked ChatGPT a question yesterday about my allergies, and it said, well, remember 8 months ago when you were having that rash? It remembered. Like, like you have to tell it once.
So I checked all the symptoms, uploaded the 2 MRIs of Didi to both Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude, just to see. All the 3 of them said he could get a an IV nerve blocker, not IV, how is it called?
nerve block.
Spinal.
Yeah, epidural.
Spinal epidural shots. And probably the healthcare system will get him through that for a few weeks. But from everything we see and the deterioration, the main point was within 3.5 weeks between MRI 1 to MRI 2, there is deterioration of the nerve. The nerve seems like it's more compressed and is radiating to the exit of the nerve to the leg way more compressed than they used to be 3.5 weeks ago, which indicates a need for surgery. The three, models I put it in, the three AIs said the same. So, and the system will tell you, and they knew the system will tell us you still need to go through everything to be served with, to be eligible for insurance to pay for spinal, how is it called? Discectomy?
Discectomy.
Yeah, sorry, cannot pronounce this.
It's okay. You can't pronounce vulnerability either.
Whatever. So that's it, right? You're in this limbo. In the middle of that, we had an idea. Maybe you want to go to the best place with the best healthcare in the world.
So this is what I've
where
discovered.
You're citizens of.
So this is what I don't need even to be a citizen. Actually, being a citizen is actually a problem.
Yeah, because they have medical tourism.
Yes. So Israel.
You have a friend that is a neurosurgeon.
Yes, and he basically said that there's medical tourism. You go to Israel and you.
I told you before that to ask him about it. You said, no way, blah, 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 blah. I said, let me check. I did the Gemini thing last night and told you it exists. It will cost you the whole thing with hospitalization, with 7 days of pre-treatment, after treatment, blah, blah, blah. They said anything between $12,000 to $25,000 without the flight.
Without the flights.
Without the flight. So I was like, well, it is costly.
So now we're praying for peace.
So Didi is like, I have a friend. I'm gonna ask him. I don't believe AI.
And
so
he said
he called his neurosurgeon friend. I told him, yes, of course you could. Little thing, there is this war with Iran, and the country is pretty much closed, and there are not much flights coming in and out.
Yep.
But other than that, yes, you pay out of pocket and you get that. Not cheap. But considering that kids are going to college and that cost is like to the roof, and I think it's like, why not?
I think it's more than that. I think it's the difference in quality of life. So my real frustration is Peloton is releasing really cool 80s run classes every other week, every other day.
True.
And I hear Lital running, and it kills me. I'm a runner. It was a shit show here in terms of the weather, but
now spring and summer is coming, and if you will wait for like 4 nerve block injections, each one 2 weeks, that will fail because AI said it's going to fail. And then they'll schedule you to get your surgery. That will be beginning of summer by that time. And then you have 6 months of recovery, PT,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. So basically we are with 6 months of waiting since this thing started that you cannot run and do the things you love. And then you get the treatment you need to get. But now we know. I'm pretty much convinced you need to go through the surgery. Why not get it sooner and get it done with and start the recovery? Like, it's inevitable.
If it's an outpatient, it can be an elective. Why can I elect? That's the whole idea of an elective. So the system is...
The system is not capitalistic,
Exactly.
which is that's a shocking thing.
Yes.
So you can go to one of the most socialist places in the world,
Yes.
pay shit and get it done with. By the
Well-
way, you can do it in India. They don't have a war.
No. I'm not going to India.
I know.
I'm not going to.
How about Costa Rica? They have American doctors. Maybe we need to check that.
Maybe we need to check Costa Rica. Look,
They don't have a wall.
Yes.
So you feel safer going to Israel actually and getting it done?
I prefer a doctor I can yell at. There's an advantage when you deal with your own culture. It's more reassuring.
Why would you yell at the doctor?
Because you yell at everybody in Hebrew. That's what you do.
It sounds like yelling. People think we're yelling. We're talking.
No, we're yelling. But this is the thing. I felt so like out of place with all those nice nurses. It was like really bad. It's like they were working so hard, and they come back and they apologize that it took so long to come to me. And I said, look, I saw what you're doing in the other places, because the way to deal with the pain was walk around the ward and try to relieve some of the pressure. And I could see how hard they're working. It's like, I want to help them. I feel bad for them because, look, the dealing with my stuff, I'm, for better or for worse, I showered twice a day. I brushed my teeth after every meal. And I try to keep myself in a good state and not pee and shit myself. But I was not the only one at the hospital, as you can imagine. And if the geriatric wards are... When I got a roommate, the nurse said, hey, you're getting somebody young like you. And I told her, nurse, dear, I am old as shit. And she said, yeah, but you know, you're in your 50s. And I said, yeah, trust me, that's not a spring chicken. And the guy in the next room with me, we were kidding about this, that we're very fortunate that we're now... One with the chest pain of the old people, one with the back pain of the old people, but we're not in like...
You're not yet as old.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Well...
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Life is one... You will never be as young as today.
Yes, I will never be as young as today.
That's the best thing I can tell you. You're the youngest you're ever going to be.
But
it's amazing.
But the thing that...
Today, you're the youngest you're ever going to be.
Yes.
Say it to yourself every day, and you'll be happy.
I won't. Mainly, I'm looking at myself in the video, and I look that I have a moon face, which means that I've been taking corticosteroids for way too much.
Yeah, but you lost some weight overall, so it's fine.
Yeah. So I moved my face from my fat from here to here. That's not helpful.
It's fine. Yeah, you need to get off the meds. Like I cannot stand you with the meds. The cocktail of the corticosteroids. This time you're not emotional. You're just
cranky.
You're full of rage.
Yes. So this
you're
is
full of rage.
So this is something to as this is an entertainment show, not the Didi Confessional or Oprah. So I cried in songs in the first round of the...
This time they didn't give you the right...
The right
cocktail.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Because last time I got emotional.
That's because you didn't get the opioids.
I was hugging Leah. I had like... I started having like a functioning emotional structure. This was like really bad. I empathized with people. This was like horrible.
First time for everything.
First, in Hebrew they say it's 3 times. It's the first, the last, and one too many. So I can live with all these emotions. I'm really happy here on my
So now the cocktail of the corticosteroids together with the whatever you're getting, the oxy, is just horrible.
Yes.
No, you have no empathy whatsoever. You're cranky and upset and
very cranky.
Yelling and like,
no, I think
we cannot keep on going like that. No, seriously, we cannot continue this thing.
I think it's the constant pain. It's truly the constant pain. Because right now I'm sitting here and laughing and cracking jokes, but every I'll say 3-4 minutes, I feel like somebody's just passed the corner, kicked me in the nuts and continued walking on. So that's to keep in mind. That every 3 minutes, I feel like somebody just kicked me in the nuts.
Okay. You need to get through this surgery. I said it. So I don't care. I'm going to put you on a plane and you're going somewhere and you're going to solve this problem. Like, so Didi came to me and he's like, I need some empathy from you. And it's going to be, and I was like, I'm sorry. That's not me. Like, you can ask for a lot of things. Empathy is not my strong suit, and I'm not taking steroids. No, God, like the only time I ever took steroids, like that's not something I'm ever gonna take. Like I'd rather, I don't know what, nothing.
Lital doesn't like having emotions either.
No, it was emotions. What do you mean? It didn't make me emotional. It made me
Cranky.
No, I could kill somebody.
Yeah.
Like seriously, it made me very violent. That's how I felt all the time.
You're very violent as a baseline.
I know. And that made me feel like I'm going to do something bad. Seriously, I don't know. It completely messes up with your head. So I told Didi, I'm not good in empathy. I'm good at solving stuff and moving stuff and getting shit happen. So all I can do is I'll try to get you into a surgery ASAP because that's what I'm good at. And we need to do that.
So the end at the end of my hospital stay, I think kind of symbolized my life. I was getting out of the hospital. I chose to walk out because, let's face it, being wheeled is not my style. And also, I at that point in time, I needed to walk a little bit to feel like I'm somewhat human. And of course, there's the pain, and of course, there's the weakness and all the stuff. And I'm going with Dennis, who you've seen on the show, and Lital. Together, put together, they have the emotional depth of a 5-year-old. Together. There's like zero empathy. They're making jokes of how I look like as I'm crawling out of the hospital. And I said, that's a symbol of how I got to this point in my life. The two people
You're
I
a
care.
jerk, so you're surrounded by jerks.
It is.
That's your destiny.
Yes, it is.
Like you chose to be surrounded by me and Dennis.
And think of, let's say I call my mom.
You did.
Which she joined them at.
What happened when you called your mom, telling her about your situation? What did she say?
She showed as much empathy as you did. So
she told you to stop complaining and get the surgery and get it done. No, she didn't want you to go. She's anti-surgery.
She's anti-surgery.
But what?
The only person that actually had empathy is my sister, and she's really worried because shared friend of ours, these symptoms manifested, and eventually it turned out to be cancer of the bones in the back. So she wanted me to make sure that the MRI was checking for that, and I think it did. So now,
okay, let's conclude this.
So first, let's conclude.
Because people are suffering through your suffering.
Yes, well, which is what I want.
You got empathy. Maybe I think the audience will give you so much more empathy than you got till now.
Maybe.
Because everybody else is like 10 times more empathetic than me and Dennis.
Yes.
In general, like our baseline is at 0.1.
Yes.
I don't know.
We'll conclude with the important stuff. This is the week. So here's my biggest sacrifice. You know, Dave, what was my biggest sacrifice for all this shit?
You missed a few Bruins games?
Yes, he
So
did.
I missed the Bruins game.
He did.
Luckily enough, it was the Sharks game. Thank God. I missed that wet fart. That was a wet fart game. And the Bruins fandom fucked everybody because they said that they're going to give St. Patty's Scully caps. Nobody got the Scally caps.
Really?
Nobody got the Scally caps.
That's terrible.
Yes.
Were they like Bruins Scally caps?
Yes, Bruins Scally caps.
Oh.
Which were my
so
buddy.
they promised a giveaway and they didn't
Nobody
give the
going,
giveaway?
huh?
No, people that came in through the early admission or the suites, these people got the Scully caps.
They ran out of them?
Yeah, there
They
were 5,000 of them, and Larry said that he got a door opening at 6, got nothing.
Wow.
Yes, so Bruins.
Do better, Bruins.
Yeah, exactly. You screwed us on the Scully caps, which we need for St. Patty's Day. I'm wearing green. So I missed the Bruins game, wet fart game. Not that bad. Sometimes the sun shines on a dog's ass. I was planning to take Ron and his girlfriend and a friend to the Dropkick Murphys on Saturday
Right.
because we have a
Because
tradition.
it's
St. Patty's.
And you're
Wow,
like,
what a show that would be, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I
you've
missed
been to the shows multiple times.
on St. Patty's.
You
That's a
took me
tradition.
once.
It's a
Yeah,
tradition.
It's a tradition.
Where did they play?
The
House of
MGM.
Blues.
No, they moved to the
They
MGM.
moved to the...
They moved to the MGM. It's really good. It's a really good venue.
It's a nice venue.
It's a really nice venue. So I missed that one.
That hurts.
Yes, that hurts. Also, the other thing that hurts is watching us lose to the Montreal Canadiens on overtime with that wet fart game. Oh my God, that was terrible. We should have so won that game.
Do you think they've exceeded your expectations this year, or not quite? Most people think they've exceeded what the expectations were at the beginning of the season, but
I'll tell you that I don't have expectations during the season. I treat their season this year as a set of bright spots and a set of very problematic dark spots. They have chokerism in them, and it's very clear that Pasternak and Geeky are dealing with something because the drop off from the beginning of the year to now, it's like very dramatic. Charlie McAvoy, we're wasting one of his most amazing years. I think if he would be on a half decent team, he'd get a Norris this year because he's skating fast. He's doing amazing things. So it's a mixed bag.
Right.
There are games that I go, at least at home, they're very fun to watch. It's a much more fun watch than last year that looked like, oh my God, they really don't want to be here. Last year watching the Bruins was like watching Omri's hockey team. So, also, Jaylen Brown's back. Not Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum's back. And
Do you have upcoming Bruin tickets?
yes, I have one more
When?
on March 31st.
Maybe you'll be able to make it after they
Oh,
give you the shot.
after they give me the shot, I'll
Maybe.
probably I'm mobile enough to go. It's just
Well, you're on your own next week. I'm
Yes.
going to RSA conference.
Yes.
So you need to deal with your pains without me.
yes. Well, at least I'm
It's
getting
the same.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
me, without me, you get the same empathy and help.
No, the main thing is that I do need to. So this is something I was telling Dave off the air. The thing that really worries me right now, as a citizen of the Commonwealth, is I'm looking at the impact that muscle relaxants and opioids have. I have no idea. It says, oh, if you haven't taken for 6 hours, you can go. I can't even grab Simba fast enough 48 hours after stop taking. So I don't know how people drive and function while consuming some of these drugs. And there's a shitload of them, and they're all on the roads, and they're all driving. So that's the thing that scares me.
Okay. Among gazillion other things.
Yes.
Well, with that positive note, this is a depressing episode. Let's hope for health and things being resolved.
I will leave you
We
with one
have the
thought.
technology, we have the medicine, we can make it happen.
Watch the South Park episode of Navigating the American Medical Healthcare System on Ozempic.
We already
You have to
mentioned
watch-
it before.
Yes.
Yes.
And
with
I what's her name? See,
Lizzo.
Lizzo. I'm on Lizzo.
No, you're now losing it. You're losing weight because
Yes.
of the pain.
Yes.
Well, as we said, wishing everybody health, and you'll be fine. You'll get through that.
Yes, I will.
Let's get you back on the peloton. The Didi and Lital Show is a weekly podcast. Thank you for joining us. Please recommend the podcast to your friends. This is how we get to more people. We will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Didi.